Hey everyone! Today we're going to be diving into some of the advanced concepts seen in our recent Grand Finals match between Fnatic and Sassy Brigade. Similar to Valorant or CSGO, Sparkball's game mode is really simple to understand, but it's once you peel back those layers that you start to see that massive amount of depth in the mechanical mastery and the kind of countless numbers of combinations in team play. And so on your first playthrough, it's going to seem really chaotic and potentially even too frantic. But really as you begin to develop that familiarity and that comfortability, you're going to start to see the complexity in each decision that you can make throughout the game. And that's really what creates that infinite amount of replayability. I'm going to be breaking down some specific plays from the match, but if you want to catch the full unedited match, it's in the description below. So let's start with team compositions. Obviously in games like League of Legends and Dota, you have 200 heroes, 200 champions, and there's just so many different combinations that really becomes a metagame in itself. In Sparkball, there's only 8 heroes. But we really saw an incredible amount of depth just to those 8 heroes, namely because of the ball and the mechanical nature of the game. So because that ball flies around and each character has different strengths and weaknesses, we saw completely different play patterns between the teams. And we saw really diverse team compositions. And when we look at both of these teams, on the right side is Fnatic. Now, Fnatic came in and absolutely stomped our invitational tournament with G2, Cloud9, Team Liquid, etc. But this was our community tournament. And that featured our top 50 players from our initial early access weekend, but Fnatic was still far and away the best, what we call mechanical team. They had really experienced Battle.Right players or other mobile players. Bloom actually won a world championship in Battle.Right. And so you just saw them, frankly, outplay the enemies. And they went with what we call a very skirmish-heavy composition. So they went one healer, which is this Custodian, and their goal is to essentially spread the fights and just let him bounce around and keep his team sustained up and just essentially smother the other teammate. Both their DPS characters here, Inna and Snooker, are very sustain DPS heavy. Meanwhile, on the Sassy Brigade side, they were excellent at team play. I think they communicated and worked better together than any other team in our tournament. And so they actually went 2 tanks, which is this Janitor down here and this Hot Paws. And when we saw Sassy succeed was when they heavily engaged. They did some sort of pincer maneuver, or they were able to just get one giant clump of a team fight. And then they were able to work the ball around and just, like I said, work really well as a team. And the final piece of the Sassy puzzle was Mashiro on Inksy right here. Probably one of our best Inksy players in the game. Much burstier mage. So his goal is really to single out people like the Inna or the Snooker here and find ways to essentially take out one entire DPS so that Sassy could win the fight. And again, while there was only 8 heroes, we just saw this, every team played a completely different style in this tournament. And even in this series alone, we saw these 2 styles really kind of see their strengths and weaknesses as it kind of ebb and flowed throughout this series. Now let's talk about ball possession. So it's a really common thing we see in new players to just grab the ball and immediately bolt off in the other direction and just try to score. They don't really look at everything around them, or they kind of enter this analysis paralysis mode where they have the ball and they just kind of freeze. They're not really sure what to do with it because they were so focused on fighting. But in high-level play, it becomes a much more kind of methodical and positioning-based game. You would kind of almost compare this to like a 6-year-old soccer game versus watching Barcelona play tiki-taka style of football or something like that. So you see that Sassy gained possession of the ball, and they constantly just worked it between themselves. You do get a shield and a move speed bonus whenever you pass between teammates. So they're really just kind of saving themselves HP and maintaining possession. So even though Fnatic really kind of technically came out on top in the fight there, Sassy maintained possession the entire time, and Fnatic actually couldn't get anything from it. And now Sassy essentially gets another chance. So this is really why that initial ball possession is so important. And you can almost think of this like minions in something like League of Legends or Dota. On the surface, you just want to jump in your lane and push as hard as you can and take your tower. But a really advanced player in League of Legends understands wave stacking. And they understand kind of denying minions from your opponent, pushing it into the tower at the right time, while simultaneously making sure that you catch every wave. And that's really almost how the ball works in a sense. It's how can I plan out, and of course it happens much quicker than minions, but how can I plan out to make sure that I maintain possession here and am able to make that counterattack as quick as possible. Final thing I'll note here is that you can see that Fnatic has essentially won every fight for the last 2 minutes. We've gone through 2 minutes of the game, and Fnatic has pretty much smothered Sassy. But that said, right now both towers are essentially at 85-90%, and Sassy maintaining possession right there did what we called minimizing their losses. So even though they lost that fight, Fnatic gained essentially nothing. And this is a really key part in Sparkball of, if you aren't winning fights, are you minimizing that loss? And Sassy obviously did a really, really excellent job of it here. So here's a great sequence that really breaks down kind of the decision-making branches between each team. So when we take a quick look at the game state, Fnatic's actually almost completely captured Sassy's tower. It's only got 10% left, and they actually went for kind of a last ditch. Bloom tried to grab the ball and just score immediately to take this. But Fnatic is spread out. They're still feeling okay. Bloom is going to die, but they know that they can all fall back to defend here. The key thing I'll point out is the cannon. And this is essentially a capture point that every time you hold it, every 10 seconds, it will shoot a cannonball at the turret and deal 5% damage. So Fnatic has largely held this cannon the entire game. But as they manage to pick off Bloom here, Sassy's immediately says, okay, we gotta go. This is our chance to score. And you're actually gonna see Mashiro here come and stop near the cannon, but doesn't fully capture it. This was a huge mistake out of Sassy, because this cannon is actually going to continue shooting Sassy's turret because they never stopped it. They got so overwhelmed with wanting to kind of make this counterattack that they didn't. And I highlight this play specifically because I think it's somewhat related to something you would see like a tower race in League of Legends, or do you want to go stop and get the dragon, or do you want to keep pushing your lane? Because they essentially kind of made a super similar call here. And you can see kind of as this plays out that Sassy kind of groups up in front of Fnatic's turret and takes a ton of damage, all while just trying to poke and prod and score this goal. Meanwhile, this cannon actually takes out Sassy's turret. Luckily, Sassy does manage to turn around because they finally spread out here. They shouldn't have clumped up here. They finally spread out and passed the ball, and he has an angle here to shoot the ball, but Bloom and Luke immediately close it out. But there's a really, really great play here by Weiho. He charges up the shot, waits for a second, and immediately when Bloom and Luke split, he manages to sneak the ball in. So all was not lost here for Sassy. If they wouldn't have gotten this score, it would have felt absolutely terrible. But now they're a bit behind. Fonk is almost dead. Weiho's almost dead. Rip's a long-range character, is pretty much in melee range. And Fnatic is about to gain a huge amount of tempo on this. But luckily, shooting this ball bought Sassy 10 seconds. So as soon as the ball goes in the turret, there's 10 seconds, and Fnatic cannot make their counter push. So Sassy essentially do like, hey, we're already committed to this play. We have to just do it. Because if we don't, we're likely just going to lose the round right here. So really great kind of juxtaposition between both teams on the decisions that they have to make and the different strategies they could go. Do I want to rush this objective? Do I want to take it slow? Do I want to play the tempo game? Just great to see both teams really make their decisions and stick with it here. All right, so now we're going to take a look at one of a really great team fight from round one here. And we talk a lot about kind of this idea of Wombo combo potential. A lot of characters have high mobility, but they also have a large amount of kind of knockbacks and combo potential. And we talked earlier about Sassy's idea of kind of having two tanks in this tank potential, but you can see they're actually down in this fight right here. They only have 3 people alive versus Fnatic's 4. Weiho is currently surrounded by 4 people, but he's really trying to draw this attention because he knows that Mashiro has ultimate here. So you can see that ultimate is up at the top here. Their janitor also has ultimate. So they know that they can potentially turn around a fight. So you're going to see Mashiro start to look for this angle again, either on this DPS character here or this DPS character here. So as this fight slowly plays out, Weiho's still soaking as much damage as he can. And this is where Mashiro kind of sees this angle here. So you're going to see Fnatic group up. We talked exactly at the start of this video about how Fnatic doesn't want to group up. They're grouping up because they have this big Gus ultimate, which is just constantly healing and damaging the enemy team. But this is setting them up exactly where Sassy wants them. All of their cooldowns were just wasted on Weiho. So now Fnatic doesn't have as many cooldowns up, and now they're kind of stuck as Sassy's kind of second wave of reinforcements come in here. So Weiho dies, but immediately upon seeing this, again, this is where Mashiro wants to target right here. So he's playing this burst mage. He sees them kind of clumped up right here, and he drops what we call a meteor. So this is one of Inksy's abilities, and then is able to drag one of them in using his ultimate. So if you're looking at this fight right now, it seems very, very clear that Fnatic is going to win this team fight until this one single play by Mashiro. So he's going to drag both of them in, hit them both with a meteor. He kills the janitor, and then he's also going to be able to kill one of their main DPS characters. He pulls him back, and Sassy puts together a nice CC combo. Ball ultimately resets here, and we won't dive into the mechanics here, but Fnatic basically lost nothing from this fight. They had this, Sassy obviously had this great mechanical, Wombo combo outplay, but Fnatic manages to get the ball and loses absolutely nothing. So really great kind of pros and cons to each situation, but great to see that individual impact from Ashiro coming out and completely turning a team fight on its head. All right, we're a little bit farther along in round 2, and we're coming across one of my favorite sequences that I've ever seen in Sparkball, because Sassy makes a call and completely commits to it. So we take a quick look at the game state. Both towers are super, super low, but Sassy's currently pressuring Fnatic's tower here. And they actually managed to pick up a kill here, and now they're just waiting for this ball to eject, and they take down the last orb. So each orb does 10% damage if you haven't played. So they managed to take down this last orb. And what we're going to talk about here is staggered death timers. And this is actually a really, really, really big deal in Sparkball, because you're going to see that on Fnatic's side, they have one person that doesn't come up for 10 seconds. They have 2 people that come up in about 5 seconds. And then they have one character that's by himself that's the worst character you want. This is a very squishy, gotta-be ranged character. And Sassy sees this, and they immediately say, hey, even though Roostandor's at 100%, we should go for the win right here. We're playing against Fnatic. You don't get many opportunities like this. We need to go. And you're going to see Cracked pick up an immediate kill on Mashiro, which is actually huge. Really, really important kill right there. But Sassy still says, hey, we can still do this. And what you're going to see here is Cracked essentially has to make a decision. He knows that if he comes and stands right here, he's probably going to die. Meanwhile, Sassy says, hey, we just need to go for this barrier. Whenever you hit this barrier, you deal a gigantic amount of damage to the goalie. So Cracked has a decision to make. Do I want to protect the goal or do I want to protect myself? And he ultimately says, I'm going to protect the goal. And he takes a hit with the ball. He gets stunned. And Sassy immediately kills him off. And what this does now is they have a wide open goal. There's no one alive. 2 people just spawned from Fnatic, but they're kind of off tempo. They don't have another person spawning for 4 seconds. These people are going to jump in. And what happens a lot of times in these situations is you have one person jump in, they immediately get killed because they're by themselves. Another person jumps in, they immediately get killed. And Sassy knows this. So they know that they have one more person about to join them from the back, this janitor back here, and they know that they have possession of the ball, and they're going to be able to get a score right here almost immediately. So they're making the call that they need to win the game right here. So you're going to see them throw the ball in the barrier. Weiho constantly just trying to constantly get throws off here. Fnatic's members finally arrive, but the goalie is at 19% here. And what you're going to see is Rips say, hey, look, we're probably not going to win this fight. Fnatic has another member that's going to be joining them in about 3 to 4 or 5 seconds. They know they're not going to win this fight, and they know they want to win the game. So you're actually going to see Rips, instead of fighting people here and trying to deal damage, he's just going to target the goalie and try to take the goalie down. He immediately burns the goalie down, and Sassy wins the jump ball. So whenever you hit the barrier, the ball pops way up in the air, and it's the first character to touch it grabs the ball. Luckily, Janitor is just taller than a lot of other characters, so he's able to grab the ball first, and as soon as Sassy has possession, I guarantee you their entire team comps are, we got the ball, go, 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 go. And so Rips is going to be burning down the goalie here, and Fonk is going to start looking for, how do I get this ball in the net? So Fnatic sees these 2 people right here. They say, okay, we know that he can't pass. There's no way to make this pass here. There's no way to make this pass here. He can potentially go off the wall, but super, super risky. At the same time, Fonk also has very, very high fatigue, which means he's going to drop the ball in about 1 second. So as soon as this bar fills up, you have 1 second before you drop it. And he's immediately going to look for, how do I get this ball here? And he makes a really, really good decision. So right at this moment here, he's dropping the ball in 1 second. But everybody watching this game sees this. They say, hey, Rips is in the center right here. All they need to do is get him the ball. He's positioned perfectly. And so at the very last minute before this ball pops, you're going to see Fonk squeak out a pass, and now Rips has a wide open net to score and win the round. So again, why we highlight and talk about this moment so much is because Sassy literally made a decision and stuck with it completely. A lot of moments there that a lot of teams would have fallen back, but they said, hey, again, this is Fnatic. You only get one shot at a chance like this, and we're probably going to lose the next fight. So we might as well go for it. So really, really well executed, kind of that rush. And this is so much of the fun in Sparkball, is kind of these last seconds, like, do I defend? Do I shoot? Do I go for kills? What am I positioning properly here? And one final thing to note here is Fnatic actually could have played this a little better because Fnatic saw the ball and both chased Fonk down on the bottom here. When in reality, what they could have done is sent this guy back here, sent this guy back here, and actually stop this. But instead they went aggressive and tried to stop the ball. So many different decisions being made. And I know we spent a long time on this one specific play, but it's really great to see kind of how hype these sequences get. All right, last clip here. We're diving into round 3. It's obviously 1-1. Sassy took the last round, and I'm going to spoil the ending here for you a bit. Fnatic absolutely steamrolls this one. They just completely run away with it, and they really snowball it. This is a great time to kind of talk about that snowball and game times. And what we found in Sparkball is that while we initially really hated the snowball and we started looking at ways to prevent it, it's actually a really good thing. And the way that it works is that if the game is very, very one-sided and you're just getting completely stomped, whether you're winning or losing, whatever side you're on, the game only lasts 5 to 7 minutes. Nobody wants to continue playing a game, even if you're winning, when you already know the result. How many games of League of Legends have we been trapped in where we knew the result 20 minutes ago, but we had to play it out? So it's very, very fast-paced when you're getting destroyed or when you are destroying. On the flip side, the games that are really, really close, the ones that are really, really competitive, those are the ones that last 15 to 25 minutes. I think the longest game we've ever had is about 25 minutes. You want those to go for a long time. The adrenaline is pumping, you get super competitive, your hands are sweating, and it just feels absolutely incredible. Anecdotally, I had a game over the first early access weekend that went the full 25 minutes, and I just stood up afterwards, and it was dopamine rushing. I was sweating everywhere, and it was just an absolutely incredible feeling. On the flip side, when you get those stomp games, a lot of times you just want to quit. But the fact that it only lasted 5 minutes, you don't quit. You're just like, I'll just do another one because it doesn't matter. And so Fnatic completely runs away with this one. Unfortunate that it was such an anticlimactic last round, but the series overall was really, really great to see that back and forth, the adaptations of play, the two completely different play styles, and Fnatic essentially finally nailing good on kind of their promise of, we're just going to smother you through team fighting. So really, really awesome to see the two different play styles of the teams there, and just a great series overall. So that wraps up kind of the deep dive on some of these concepts. Thanks everybody for watching and tuning in. I know some of them got a little lengthy and wordy, but I think there's just so much excitement to see these kind of different decision paths and the complexity of the game really come to light in the competitive scene. And I think what's really, really important to mention here, especially if you've already played Sparkball once and you're a first-time player, is that reaching these levels of strategy and methodicalness, you don't have to be a challenger, crazy mechanical god to reach these. And what we really see is that people start to pick up that familiarity and that comfortability with their characters, and the game essentially slows down in your head, and you build that mind-muscle connection, and you start to see those passes, and you start to see where to position, and you start to see the push and pull and the pacing of the game mode. Even if your first few games feel super chaotic, that really starts to unlock. So we've really nailed that kind of accessibility. Obviously, there's some onboarding to do with getting people familiar, but as we start to go past that accessibility, that's really where the game just completely opens up. And I mentioned this earlier in the video, but again, we only have 8 heroes. There's only one map. There's a limited number of items. We're missing a lot of kind of horizontal systems that we want to add in. More heroes, more items, talent trees, things like that. Things that games like League and Dota already have. But we're seeing just such a crazy amount of vertical complexity in the game. All the players in this game have hundreds upon hundreds of games played. We're still playing 2 to 3 hours every night just for fun, and we're all sitting at like 200-300 hours played on Steam. There is so much replayability in the game that it's just so fun. The rush you get from this competitive level play, it just kind of clicks. And all of that complexity really comes from those different decision paths you can make with the ball, with your own hero, how things combo together. What do I want to do in this specific situation? Can I make a decision and see that decision pay off 20 seconds later, just like we saw Sassy do on that score? So really think we've nailed kind of that accessibility and complexity combo to create a 10,000 hour game. And again, we're only at 300 hours played right now, but we're getting there. And we're definitely not tired of the game yet. So really, really excited for the future of Sparkball and really excited to keep building. But hope you enjoyed the concepts. As always, more than happy to answer any questions and dive deeper on any of them. But thanks again for watching, and take care.